So far, so good. And they were working against an offensive line. They did not have Spencer Brown. Of course, he's missing. We'll see any sort of timeline on that. But, this defensive front with Bosa, he had some interesting comments yesterday about the atmosphere here. And I think it's interesting. Someone brought up to me the difference between the two teams in town. The fact that there's not a lot going on seems to help the Bills.
Yeah.
Because these players all just hang out together. Here's Bosa saying he hung out with teammates more in 6 weeks than maybe his entire career because this team just basically hangs out and goes to Josh's house. It seems like that's pretty much what it is.
You want the football guys, right?
Yeah.
And if you're a football guy, these are the teams that you want to play for. The fan base is rabid. They absolutely love their team. But also, you're spending a lot of time with each other. And in a market like Buffalo, there are not nearly as many distractions as there would be in Los Angeles or in Miami or in some of these other major cities in the NFL. And some people hear that and they think it's a knock on Buffalo. Well, I guess it depends on how you look at it. But if you're a football guy, you want to spend time with your guys. I mean, it almost feels like the Bills have a continuation of training camp when they get back to Orchard Park. They always talk about how much they love spending all this time together when they're at training camp. Well, when they get back, that doesn't really change. The only thing that comes into the mix is now you're mixing in spouses and girlfriends and kids and other responsibilities, but you're still going to make time to be spending time with your teammates outside of the facility, which I think has been a big reason why the Bills have had this, run of success. That and Josh Allen's really, really good.
It's been talked about as kind of the players have said this. Maybe Vaughn had said this when he got here. It's kind of like college football here. And I think whenever I hear that, I think about the fan base for that and how the fans are. But that kind of could be all this player stuff too, like them hanging out with each other. It's not like they're in dorm rooms next to each other like they would be playing college football, but that could also be what they mean when they say it's more of a college-y type as college as you could get for the NFL.
Yeah, and you also think too, these guys, especially in Buffalo, are legitimate celebrities. If you walk around Western New York, you know who let's say 75% of the guys on the Bills, at least the starters are. So they don't go out as a group a ton in public because, they can't just show up to Music on Main or to Canal Fest.
Reed Ferguson can show up to Music on Main and he's going to get recognized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they hang out together at their houses. They have cookouts. I did a story with Connor McGovern a couple years ago. He legitimately, every Friday night before home games, has massive pizza parties with 40 to 50 members of his team, and that is their way of just hanging out with each other one last time before each game. They bring their spouses. They bring their family members. And he said there's a waiting list to get on this because we just sit there and we cook up pizza and appetizers. And you talk about what's better than just hanging out with your friends in a basement, watching sports on a Friday night, and getting ready for a big game a couple days later. I feel like that kind of perfectly encapsulates what the locker room is like.
Day 2 of training camp today. We'll hear from Joe Brady at 9:15. He'll go for his opening press conference. It's funny. This is a reminder that when training camp starts, it's the Bills against the Bills.
Yep.
So if Christian Benford and Max Haristton have a good day, that means the receivers they were covering did not necessarily have a good day. And I saw a little bit Matt Perino, who's over here with us as well. He wrote up about Keon Coleman. I had the same kind of observation that Coleman, there are a couple times where they were not breadbasket drops, but they're contested catch drops. And there's a lot riding on him this year and what he can do in year 2. And I thought, not the best start, of course. Long way to go, but he had some trouble yesterday in some contested catches.
Yeah, I agree, but I also wonder if a player like that, if he needs to be seen with the pads on and with more contact because that is his area of expertise, I'm going to bully you there, you would think that would also translate to when they're not wearing pads, but I wonder how physical he wants to get in those settings. I'm not trying to give him a pass or anything. I think there's 2 big X factors for the Bills. Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman going into the season, and what they get out of those guys I think will tell us a lot about how this season is. So far, I think Dalton Kincaid has had a good summer. I think his mandatory minicamp was strong, and I think he had a good first day of camp. Keon Coleman, I didn't notice it as a bad day. I certainly didn't notice it as a good day. But I also do think until we get to day 4, which is usually when they put the pads on, that's when I want to try and start seeing which players look good, which players struggle. It feels like these are, the first couple days of school where you're filling out the index cards and asking people a random fact about themselves.
Especially for Coleman, right? Because Coleman is probably going to have to play a physical brand on the outside. He's going to be lined up on the line of scrimmage. These would be the days, we'll get to the secondary. In fact, we can't hear if you want. These would be the days where I'd expect a guy like Max Haristton to stand out.
Yes.
Because he's so fast, and before the pads come out and it gets more physical, the guys with the speed, I think in theory would be the ones that you would see stand out early.
Yeah, and I think like with the wide receivers, the separators would separate more because they don't have pads on. So I feel like Keon Coleman, we all know that's not a separator. That's not his area of expertise. So you wonder how much would he be able to shine. And that's the other thing too. I really came away liking Max Harriston's first day. But then you make the point, they're not in pads. He's already the fastest guy on the team, one of the fastest players in the NFL. He should look really, really fast in this setting, and he did. So that's why that's a good sign. Going back to your point at the beginning, like Christian Benford, he's just so technically sound with everything he does, and to realize that that player is still 24 years old. You know, they had the list come out a couple weeks ago, ESPN, the top 10 corners in the NFL. He doesn't even get a vote.
There are 29 corners mentioned, and he didn't get a vote.
That's crazy.
Others receiving votes, him not being on that list at least, is offensive.
No personnel person even said Christian Benford.
And there's some reasons for it. I was talking to Carl Jones about this a little bit because obviously that's his area of expertise is the secondary, and he was saying the fact that he's a late pick hurts him. The fact that he doesn't follow receivers also hurts him just because a lot of the top guys do that. And the fact that he just doesn't get a ton of interceptions. You know, some people see that as a negative. You want all of your corners to probably get as many interceptions as possible, but you know, he's just a very technically sound, steady, solid player. But would any of us be shocked if he's one of the 5 best players on the Bills roster this year? I wouldn't be.
No, I might even expect it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's right.
One of their top 5 players. And then, you know, you get to the secondary as a whole. Benford there. We've talked a little bit about Haristton. I said to Joe, we should be on Haristton pick 6 watch out here just because the style he plays, it's a matter of time before, hey, Maxwell Haristton just picked off insert quarterback here and took it back the distance.
Yeah, and what's interesting, too, is for some reason when you were saying that, I was thinking about a conversation that I had. Now that we have the hindsight of knowing that they've drafted Haristton, it makes sense when we just talked about Benford and how steady and consistent and solid he is. Maybe they're taking a swing for the fence with the upside, and that's what Haristton is, right? I don't know if you need another guy who's steady and consistent and solid. Like, you want your players to be as good as possible, but none of us will be surprised when we watch Haristton jump in front of a pass and take it all the way, but that also might mean he get burned every once in a while. And I think you live with that when you have somebody like Benford on the other side of you, you know, the risk and reward and how they play off of each other. So I think it's not a matter of if, but when Haristton ultimately ends up doing that. And I think for Bills fans, the hope is that he's doing it in games.
Surprising at all that the defense did look more impressive yesterday?
Every time we get out here, Capaccio always reminds me, you know, the defense is usually ahead of the offense early on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but the offense led the NFL in almost everything last year, so I thought they would be more ahead. It was also interesting that Josh made a point after practice to say, hey, everybody, we had a really good day. I was throwing the ball away a lot. I wanted to make sure I protected the football. I almost thought he was like talking to Hard Knocks at that point and being like, hey, Hard Knocks, I'm much better than this, but I didn't want to make any mistakes on the first day of camp.
Joe and I were watching. We kind of commented, again, it's the Bills against the Bills. So if the defense is good, the offense isn't. He did have a lot of, like, scrambly throwaways.
Yeah. Oh, there were so many times when he was rolling out to his right, and that's usually when he is the most deadly, and he just threw it out to the track behind the field. And I'm like, okay, you know, he didn't throw it across his body trying to find somebody who's cutting back into space. I guess in a game it might be a little bit different. But, yeah, I would say overall, like, the defense collectively – I'm expecting more than I think some people are with the defense. I think they're going to be better than maybe the outside perspective is. Because, you know, you see all these different podcasts and lists about the best defenses in the NFL. And the Bills at this point really aren't mentioned a ton as kind of the best of the best. And I don't think they're going to be the best of the best, but I think they might be more consistent than they have been.
To James Cook. Yesterday, Brandon Beane spoke about Cook quite a bit. We could debate whether or not they're going to sign him, how this ultimately finishes out. Did you think the tone was softer, different, changed than a couple months ago when it sounded like it was a Cold War between the two sides?
Yeah, when we were at the owners' meetings in Florida, I was like, okay, I don't think James Cook is going to play for the Bills again after this season. I still don't know if I feel that way, but there was a specific quote from Beane yesterday talking about James Cook where he said, I hope at this time next year we're talking about this and James Cook is out there practicing. And that, you know, perked the ears up a little bit of like, oh, maybe there is a way that James Cook sticks around. I don't know if that means he's going to get a new contract. Maybe that means they franchise tag him, and then we're having these same conversations in a year from now about if he's happy or about if he's actually going to play. Is he holding in? Is he holding out? But I did feel like there was a little bit of a softer tone from Bean's standpoint and maybe a bit more willingness to get something done with Cook if they can find that place where they're clearly trying to meet in the middle. Because I'm sure the Bills have a number in their head. Like, we're not going over this number for a running back, especially a running back who plays 50%, less than 50% of snaps.
You feel like it's more likely that this is kind of the end of the contract negotiations and the saga with him being on the field and practicing? Or, I don't know, could the Bills also take it as, all right, he showed up, he's here, let's give him one more offer with a couple million more guaranteed or whatever as a kind of a show of good faith?
Yeah, that's what I think too, and that's why I think Cook did the right thing yesterday to see if maybe that's where it goes. If, hey, I don't want to be a distraction. I don't want to be, the big story of training camp. I'm here to work. And then they've done the extensions a couple weeks before the season several times. So
Dawson Knox right before the season, maybe?
Spencer Brown last year, right?
Deion Dawkins before the last extension that he ended up getting. Like, a lot of these guys have done that right before the season. So maybe they follow suit, and if it's not him, the only other name I think that makes sense, or there's two other names, are Connor McGovern and David Edwards, because I think both of those players they really, really like, and they've got them on really good bargains right now. So if they want to try and continue to solidify that offensive line, those are the other two kind of right before the season extension candidates.
The Cook situation, do you think they'll ultimately come to an extension?
No.
Or do you think that he still is more likely to walk next year?
I do. I think that he's more likely to walk. I just don't know if the Bills are willing to go as high as what he wants, and I don't know if what he wants is what he and his brother are posting on X about, if it's quite that much. But if you're that far off, or if it's been that far off up to this point, I don't know if his value is so high after a 16-touchdown season, but he only does play 50% of the snaps. I think James Cook is a very good running back, and I think the Bills are a better team with James Cook on their team. But if he truly wants $13, $14, $15 million, I don't know if the Bills think that's more valuable than using that money elsewhere, and like we were talking about before we came on, using a draft pick and drafting a running back, or maybe Ray Davis becomes your feature running back, and then you take a fourth-round running back, and that becomes your new Ray Davis. Because the one game James Cook missed last year in the regular season, Ray Davis was really good. Now, that changes when you have a huge workload added onto your plate, but I think they really like the backfield. I think they think strength in numbers, because if one of those guys is missing, they still have two others who I think they believe can really kind of carry the weight.
Matt Bove joining us. They've got an event tonight. It's always game day in Buffalo tonight. They'll be live recording the podcast, so you can attend that. It's at Bar Bill East here in Rochester on Empire Boulevard. You and Sal. We'll talk to Sal coming up at 8 o'clock today.
And to put full circle on the question that we led off with is Josh ever completed a pass to someone named Josh? There's one.
Really?
Yeah.
He's completed a pass to a guy named Josh.
Yeah.
Not an interception?
No. Scored a touchdown.
Josh.
It's kind of a trick question. The answer is Josh Allen.
Oh, that's a great.
Well, right. That's
good.
right.
It's a trick question. Kind
the
of.
pass completed to Amari Cooper, but Josh did score.
He scored
the
touchdown on a pass
That's right.
he threw.
That's right.
Just saying. He's
really,
the only one, though.
I really hope somebody started listening to this interview, and they've been driving in their car this whole time, and they've been screaming at the radio, "It's Josh Allen! It's Josh Allen!" And then you finally just gave them that moment.
Yes.
What can't he do, right? What can't he do?
You put my mind in a pretzel right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, Hard Knocks is here too. We're seeing the crew out here. They've got their Hard Knocks crew shirts, and you see boom mics, and there's some cameras we're walking underneath. I'm excited about it. I think Bills fans should be really excited about getting the inner look. I was talking to Kevin Kearns with the Bills, like what's different, and the number of players that are mic'd up. Like in a normal game, sometimes one guy's mic'd up. For these practices, 4 and 5 players are mic'd up for this process. So you're going to get to know these players in a different way. Yesterday, KJ Hamler's mic'd up. So I don't know if you know anything about KJ Hamler, but you might find out in episode 1 a little bit about him.
Here's my take. I don't think they were initially excited to be selected on Hard Knocks. Now I think they love it. Even though they might not say that they love it, I think that they collectively have a lot to gain. Not necessarily like Josh doesn't. Everybody already knows who Josh Allen is. He is a superstar in the NFL. But a lot of people outside of this market don't really know a ton about. Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane, Khalil Shakir, Spencer Brown, Deion Dawkins.
Yeah.
These guys are going to be heavily featured in some capacity on the show, and also the production value is just so good. Like, I saw the little teaser that they posted yesterday, and even me, like, I'm pretty close to this, and I was like, wow, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited, even just as a consumer, to watch this, to see what I don't ever get to see. So that'll be fun.
Did they turn that around that quickly?
No,
those weren't practice clips from yesterday?
No, they were just, I think, clips from last year, regular practice from the last couple months.
That makes more sense.
Game clips. Because
it was like an hour after practice.
I was like, that is so unbelievably impressive.
Yeah.
So I don't think it is that, though.
Gotcha.
Matt Bove. All right, thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
you guys are going for a run, or you already did?
Oh, we already did a little workout with Matt Perino and Dom Tibbetts over there. Now we're going to run to go get something for breakfast and then walk back. So that's the nice little getting early. The nice little benefit of getting up and getting early.
And before the weather gets to 98 degrees today or whatever.
115 heat index.
Oh, that's what we're looking at today?
Well, that's the heat index for – it was – I haven't checked this morning, but a couple days ago when I checked for today, that's what they said. So when I was packaging my clothes, I specifically packed light color clothing for today.
Yep. Yeah. I'm wearing the lightest shirt possible.
I was going to say,
linen in my closet.
That. I was gonna
linen.
Say,
I'm like, I'm wearing linen today for sure.
And Jeremy's in a hoodie.
For now.
It makes no sense.
For now. At 9:02, when the sun comes between these two, the pavilion and the stadium,
regular polo,
it gets to be 100 degrees right here. I've got the golf polo underneath. All right, thanks very much.
Thanks, guys.
Great work as always, and good luck tonight with the event with Sal for It's Always Game Day in Buffalo.
Thanks so much. Thanks.